Hello, and thanks for joining us for October's TLC Tech Time. I want to welcome those of you who are joining us live today, and also those of you who are watching the recording. We're happy you're here. My name is Erin French, and I'm an instructional designer in the Teaching and Learning Center. In today's TLC Tech Time, I'll start by briefly reviewing this month's Canvas in 5 video. Then I will provide a Canvas demonstration, and finally we'll open the floor for a discussion. If you're joining us live, please save your questions until after the demonstration has ended. Before attending TLC Tech Time each month, we recommend that you watch that month's Canvas in 5 video because during TLC Tech Time, we'll expand upon what is presented in the Canvas in 5 video. However, that's certainly not required, and you are welcome to watch it anytime you have a spare 5 minutes. All previous Canvas in 5 and TLC Tech Time recordings are available on the TLC Learning channel, which is our YouTube channel. We have them grouped on a playlist for easy reference, and we're putting a link to that playlist in the chat right now. If you're participating in the Level Up Certificate program, attending TLC Tech Time can help you to earn credits for Level 2 technology. Each 30-minute episode is worth half a credit, and you can earn it by attending live or by watching the recording and self-reporting through our Qualtrics form. If you have not yet enrolled in Level Up, there is a link to the enrollment form in the chat. The October Canvas in 5 topic was Plus Delta assessments, which are opportunities to collect feedback from your students at the midpoint of your course, so you can implement any needed changes to support students while they're still currently enrolled in your course. Specifically, in the Canvas in 5 video, I showed you 2 types of Plus Delta assessments that can be added to your Canvas course as classic quizzes. One allowed you to collect only qualitative data from your students, and the other included one quantitative question too. In today's TLC Tech Time, I'm going to demonstrate the process for adding a pre-made Plus Delta assessment to your Canvas course. I'll also show you how to adjust the settings and how to export data for analysis. Let's get started. When you're on your Canvas dashboard or in one of your courses like I am here, click on Commons in the sidebar. In the search bar, type plus delta, and the search results will automatically be reduced to 4 choices. The plus delta assessment we're going to add today is the first one here, so I can show you how to customize one that includes both quantitative and qualitative questions. However, if you like the one that has only qualitative questions, most of the instructions that follow will still apply, but you won't need to edit the quantitative question to apply to your own course. Click on the plus delta assessment that you want, and you'll be able to see a preview of all questions along with some additional details about it. On the right-hand side of the screen, there is a button for importing or downloading this item. Click on it to see a list of your Canvas courses. Here is a list of my Canvas courses. To select the one I want to add the plus delta to, I would click the checkbox next to its name, and then depending on how many courses you have, you may need to scroll down, and then you'll click on Import into Course. After clicking Import, I'll be returned to this page, and now there's a banner that says I have successfully started the import, and it may take a little while to see the changes. Let's go back to our Canvas course to see where this appears. Back in your Canvas course, click Quizzes in the navigation menu, and you will see the midterm survey listed. So we know that it has been successfully imported into the course. Next, I'll demonstrate how to customize and change the settings. Click on the midterm survey, and then click on the Edit Pencil button, which is going to take us to the Details tab, where you'll be able to make changes to the title and to the instructions, along with a few other settings. First, you might be interested in customizing the title. Maybe instead of midterm survey, we would like to call it plus delta feedback tool. So I've pasted that in here. In the instructions box, There are some basic instructions from the original creator that have already been pre-populated as part of the importing process. You can use these instructions, but you can also add your own. I always prefer to customize when I have imported from the Canvas Commons, so everything is in my voice or the way that I write. So here I have pasted in some custom instructions. Let's scroll down to see what settings are available. First, we can select the quiz type. Canvas has 4 quiz types, and the original creator has assigned this one to be a practice quiz. Canvas practice quizzes are available to give students a self-check on how well they are understanding certain concepts or course material. These quizzes are not graded and they do not display in the grades area of Canvas. It's okay to keep this as a practice quiz. You might choose to change it to a graded quiz if you want students to receive a grade for completing it and you want them to see that grade in the Canvas gradebook. Certain question types will automatically be graded with this type of quiz, but because there are essay questions in this case, you will need to review each student's answers and assign them a grade. You might also be interested in a graded or an ungraded survey. Both of them are ideal for plus delta assessments. No answers are right or wrong, and the surveys can be submitted anonymously. The difference with a graded survey is, of course, that students will receive a grade for completing it, and it is displayed in the grades area of Canvas. My recommendation would be to switch this plus delta assessment to a graded or ungraded survey based on your preference for whether or not you want your students to earn points for completing it. I'm going to select graded survey, and you can keep it in the assignment group, or if you have other assignment groups in your course, you can switch it to one of those. A benefit of a graded survey is that Canvas will auto-grade it and give some students the number of points that I assign to it. I'm going to give it 5 points. And then let's look at the options that we have. You can shuffle answers, but that would make sense only if we had multiple choice questions, for instance, so we're not going to check that box. I could also give students a time limit, but I prefer that they take their time, so I'm not going to check that box. I definitely want to keep some submissions anonymous, so my students will feel more comfortable. I could allow them multiple attempts, but I don't need them to refine their answers since there are no right or wrong answers with this tool. So I will uncheck that box. I also think it's great to let students see their responses so they could refer back to them. I'm going to leave these other boxes unchecked for showing one question at a time and quiz restrictions. In the last section, I will pick a due date and time. And you could also have the plus delta assessment available from a certain date and time until a certain date and time if you like. At the bottom, it's important to click the Save button. After clicking Save, Canvas has dropped us back here, but I want to show you how to customize the questions on this plus delta assessment. To do that, I will click the Edit pencil again, and this time I will click on the Questions tab. The first 4 questions here are standard questions for a plus delta assessment. What's helping the student to learn, and what are they doing to improve their learning? Followed by what changes are needed in the course, and what could the student do to improve their learning? If you did want to edit any of these questions, if you put your mouse on that question and then come over to the right, an edit pencil will appear and you should click it. Here, you could change the name of the question, the type of the question, and the question text itself. I'm okay with this one, so I'm not going to make any changes, but if you do make changes, be sure you click the Update Question button before moving on. I'm going to click Cancel instead. I mentioned previously that if you preferred the qualitative only plus delta assessment, most of these instructions would apply, except for editing the quantitative question. Let's edit that question now. It asks students to rate the agreement with the following statements about what is helping them learn. The original creator listed the content delivery methods and assignments that they are using in their own course. It's not likely that you would be using all of these too, so let's edit the list so you can see how to customize it for your course. Because we're hovering on this question, the edit pencil has appeared, so I'm going to click on that. I always like to make this what you see is what you get editor window large enough so I can see everything that I'm working on. You can do that by clicking on these 8 dots here. This is the resize button, and we're just going to pull that downward, and now we can see everything that we are working on. First, this question is set up as multiple drop-downs. That means that students will be able to choose their answer from set options in a drop-down menu on each question. The answers that they can choose from are down here, and you can see that this is set up as Likert style answers, from strongly disagree to strongly agree. You will see that the answers are going to be the same for all 7 choices. You can see that 7 is the highest number here, and we have all 7 of those being strongly disagree to strongly agree. So next, what we're going to do is review what is in the table here and make a few edits to customize it. First, let's start by changing the name of key images and key terms. I'm going to say that in my class, that is called vocabulary review. I'm lecturing, so I'll keep that one, but I don't have any external lectures, so I'd like to remove that one. This is a table, and we can simply remove the row by clicking it and then clicking the delete row button. It's always a good idea to hover over the button to make sure you're going to click the correct one. All right, all of the others in this table look good. Now, after we remove the external lectures row, the numbers in the right-hand column are no longer in sequential order. We do need to update those manually, so we'll do 3, 4, 5, and 6 instead. Then we'll double check here. Now, instead of 7, we have 6 there. Well, what if you wanted to add something else to this table? I think that we could insert another row at the bottom, and we will do that with some case studies. So we'll click back into the table, we'll click the insert row after, and I'm going to paste in helpfulness of case studies. And we'll also need to manually put number 7 there. And I like to make these so they're just about even. So now when we go here, we are back up to 7 that they'll have to choose from with the Likert style possible answers. So now we have the table the way we'd like to have it. What if you wanted to make changes to those Likert style possible answers? Maybe you don't really like the word undecided, and so you would like that to be neutral. You can simply change any of these to be what you need for your course. If you wanted to have 4, you could use the trash can to take one of them off. And if you wanted to have more choices, perhaps maybe you wanted to be more granular and have 7 choices for your students, you could add additional choices by clicking Add Another Answer. After you've made changes to any question, always remember to click the Update Question button. And now you can see we've got our vocabulary review, no more external lectures, and we've added helpfulness of case studies to the end. And we're not done yet. When you're done, make sure that you click Save at the bottom of the page. Regardless of which plus delta assessment you have imported, it's important to see how it will look to your students. In the upper right-hand corner, click on View as Student. At the top, your students will see the due date, that it's worth 5 points, that there are 6 questions, and there's no time limit. Below that are the custom instructions that I added. Students would click on the Take the Survey button, and those quiz instructions are repeated here. Remember, the first 4 questions were essay questions, so the question is listed, and then there's a large text box so students can share as much as they like. I really want to show you question 5, that quantitative question, so you can see how it looks with the changes that we made. For each of these, students can use the drop-down menu to select from strongly disagree to strongly agree. And when they're finished, they would click the Submit Quiz button. We want to return to the teacher view, so I'm going to click Leave Student View at the bottom of the screen and then confirm that I definitely want to leave. The last thing I want to show you is how to export data from Canvas after your students submit their Plus Delta assessments. We'll start here by clicking on Quizzes in the navigation menu and then back on our Plus Delta feedback tool. Next, we'll click here on Survey Statistics. The quiz summary shows us some data about the Plus Delta assessment. The average score, high score, and low score are all 100% because students received all the points for completing the Plus Delta with no right or wrong answers. The average time to complete it was a little over 39 minutes. There's also a question breakdown to help you see how many respondents there were for each question. If you have more than one section of your course, you can review this data by section by selecting each section from the Section Filter drop-down menu. To export the Plus Delta assessment data, we'll click on the Student Analysis button. This will generate a CSV file that you can open with spreadsheet software like Excel or Numbers. Next, we'll have a look at this file. In the report, you'll find data for each student who submitted the Plus Delta assessment. Each row is a student response, and each column is one of the questions. As mentioned in Canvas in 5, we recommend reviewing student responses for common themes and reporting back to your students within about a week of the Plus Delta assessment. So if any changes are needed, you and your students will have plenty of time to implement them before the end of your course. I hope this demonstration of adding a pre-made Plus Delta assessment to your Canvas course, adjusting the settings, and exporting the data was helpful. Our content on Canvas in 5 and TLC Tech Time provides only brief generalized overviews. If you would like to get more individualized support specific to your own courses, please reach out to the TLC. We would be happy to help via email or in a Zoom consultation. And we'll share resources in the chat and in the YouTube description to help get you started.